One of my subscribers, aka one of you guys, told me that he found this at his kid's school. It was plastered on the wall. Now, I can't confirm nor deny this accusation, but basically, he wants to know how he could approach his child in order to offer a different perspective about this poster. So, the poster says that equality is for everyone, getting a pair of shoes. Diversity is for everyone, getting a different type of shoe. Equity is for everyone, getting a pair of shoe that fits. Acceptance is understanding, and we all wear different kind of shoes. Belonging is wearing the shoes you want without fear of judgment. So, it's actually very difficult to have this conversation with a child. I mean, it depends on the age. I don't really know like how old his son is. If the kid is 16, then he would probably understand a lot better. But like if he's young, it's going to be much more difficult. But I can explain it for an adult. I guess like all of this creates the issue of oversimplification. It's an analogy that simplifies the complex issues of equality, diversity, equity, and acceptance and belonging into what appears to be a one-sided representation using shoes as an example. So when doing this, you're trivializing the nuances and complexities that surround these topics in the real world, which is why it's very difficult to even teach kids about these topics. They have absolutely no way of understanding them. You have to simplify them to the point where you're now talking about shoes in order for kids to understand. And this is why it's not really okay to have these conversations at a very early age. Now, again, if the child is like 16, then it's fine. But if the child is 5 or 6, then it's just indoctrination. Just simple as. So let's talk about like why these concepts are wrong, right? Like when you say equality, and you're saying that everyone should get a pair of shoes, you have to make the assumption that everyone wants or needs a pair of shoes. Like some people may not want to, and then you are also, by giving people the shoes, you are robbing people from the experience of getting the shoes for themselves and being self-reliant. Like you're basically making people require someone else to give them shoes because they will be incapable of creating shoes of themselves. Now again, this is like an oversimplification, like we're using an analogy, right? So it looks weird when we're talking about that, but like if you're talking about resources or food or money, like when you say equality is for everyone, what you're talking about is equality of outcome. So like regardless of how talented the person is, regardless how much work he wants to do, you're basically saying that he should arrive at the same place with a person that puts in a lot of work and is incredibly talented. So you're basically saying that someone that just picked up cooking should have the same outcome as Chef Gordon Ramsay. And unfortunately, you can't run a society this way because at one point, Chef Gordon Ramsay is going to wonder, why the fuck am I doing this when I have the exact same outcome as a person that just started cooking? When you say that diversity is for everyone getting different type of shoes, initially the idea that everyone gets a different pair of shoes might sound appealing, but what happens if certain shoes are better in a certain environment? So, for example, in construction, you want workers' boots, right? But the person that works in construction wants to have boots like this, right? So, and you're basically saying that it's his right to have high heel boots with stiletto while working with cement. And everyone is aware that it's a bad idea. Everyone understands that that person is not going to be able to work as efficiently as a person that has workers' boots, is not going to be as safe as a person that has workers' boots because cement can easily get into stiletto. But he wants stiletto, right? So like we need some diversity. For diversity's sake, we need to have this person to be able to walk with stilettos in a place where people are knee deep into mud, into other substances that can be harmful if they come into contact with the skin. But hey, it's his right to wear these shoes. I mean, is that really good? And the question is for whom? Like, it's not good for the person wearing these stiletto shoes because he's going to get cement on his foot. It's not good for the person that's doing the construction because now he's got a worker that's not as efficient as everyone else. It's not a good example for the other workers because you're basically suggesting that you can do literally everything while at the workplace. So for whom is it a good thing? Who benefits from the... And the answer is the ideologue, right? Like the person that says, no, it's important for everyone to get different type of shoes. Even if a worker wants to get stiletto high heels while, working at a skyscraper at 40 feet in the air, like if he wants those types of shoes, he should be able to wear it. That is the only person that benefits from this. Everyone else loses. Equity is for everyone getting a pair of shoes. So the concept is that everyone gets a pair of shoes. Again, it's overly simplistic. But there is a dangerous road here because who gets to decide the shoe that fits? Right? Like you need an extra authority that will now make the decision on what type of shoe is required for you. Like which is the best shoe for you. Instead of allowing the individual to go out and finding a shoe that fits, now the shoe manufacturer, or probably under some authority, some guidance, is going to be able to dictate what type of shoes he requires to make so that everyone can have the shoe that fits. I don't think I need to understand why this is a bad thing. And not only that, but what if the authority decides that the shoe that fits for you isn't the shoe that you want? In fact, it actually clashes with the diversity, right? Because what if someone wants a shoe that doesn't fit? Like someone legitimate, he wants a shoe that doesn't fit. But he's getting a pair of shoes that fits. People are diverse. People are, and when we talk about diversity, we talk about diversity of thought. Like people think differently. You can't make an assumption and say that everyone is going to want these types of shoes because it fits. And then you find someone, well, I don't want a shoe that fits. I want shoes that make my feet seem smaller. While this is funny to you, there are actual cultures in the world that want this. Or I want shoes that look bigger. Right? So, again, this is the problem with equity. In real life, the actual problem is that you're talking about shoes because we have a huge number of them. So, there's no shortage of shoes. But if you talk about money or resources, there is a shortage of that. And in order for everyone to have equality and equity, you need to take from someone else. And it's interesting because when you and this is why you can't have these conversations with kids because they don't know the real world. But you look at people that advocate for equity like Hassan Piker or Vosh, and they say, well, we need equity, but they live in $1 million mansions while other people around them live on the streets. What is their burden? What is their sacrifice? What is the eat the rich when it comes to them? Because they will probably say, well, I'm not rich because even though I live in this mansion, there's other people that live in the larger complexes than I do. Like, I'm not rich compared to Jeff Bezos, or I'm not rich compared to Elon Musk. But they don't realize that compared to the whole demographic of the world, compared to 100% of citizens of the world, they are some of the top 5%. I mean, if you live in the United States and you're upper middle class, you're already richer than the overwhelming majority of people in the world. So, when you advocate for equity, they probably don't think that and don't realize that they're advocating for taking away their stuff. There's no reason for one person to live in a place with 4 rooms. None whatsoever. There's no reason for one person to live in a place with 3 rooms. The correct way is for one person to have a small apartment with 1 room, maybe not even a kitchen, the kitchen should be communal. And that is how you create equity, because now you have more living space. You have the opportunity for more people to live there. You solve a little bit of the homelessness population by the homelessness problem by doing this, right? Because now they have apartments and stuff. But that's not what they mean by equity, by the way. No, what they mean by equity is to pay more taxes to the government, which is already wealthy. So make the poor poorer. That's how they justify equity. But again, you can't explain this concept to children. This is why this conversation shouldn't even exist. Because, again, maybe, if I bring Vosh here or Hassan Piker and I talk to them, they have their own takes and they have their own opinions, and I may not be able to convince them, but at least you can say that they understand the situation a lot better than a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old doesn't know shit. Acceptance is understanding we all wear different kind of shoes. So we don't really need a government or a higher power to demand this. Like, it happens naturally. Unless, of course, you're in the Soviet Union, where the government decides the production of shoes, and they only produce one type of shoes that they consider to be what the people need. And then, yeah, people don't really have the ability to wear different type of shoes, because even if they wanted to, number one, they can't afford it. And number two, there isn't any on the market even if they did afford it. And finally, belonging is wearing the shoes you want without fear of judgment. Okay, this is the most dangerous one, by the way. Like, this is the most harmful out of all of them. Because in reality, people are going to have different opinions on any matter, right? Like, if you're a person living in a free society, you're going to look around and you're going to have an opinion about everything. Basically, what they want is to have a higher power to decide on what people are and aren't allowed to think. The only way you can have belonging is if you remove free will. So now people really can't make fun of a worker that's working in cement while having stiletto high shoes, right? Like, take into account that no one is going to stop them. Like, if I see some man walking with stilettos trying to climb a mountain, I'm not going to physically stop him. I'm not going to try to pass legislation against that. But I do have the right to laugh at it. He has the right to laugh at me as well if he wants to, right? This is what it means to live in a free society. You don't have to endorse everything. You can accept things. So, for example, I can accept that you have the right to wear stiletto shoes. But that doesn't mean that if I see you trying to climb a mountain using them and it's muddy and it's dirty and I can see that your shoes are about to break, doesn't mean that I don't have the right to laugh at you. And again, like, you have the right to laugh at me. That's what a free society means. It means that you have rights and liberties, and they end where other people's rights and liberties began. So the ability to form your own opinions about things should be sacred. Especially as long as you don't even act on them, right? So, like, if you don't try to make a movement in order to stop people that are wearing high heels, if you don't try to like, oppress people or become physical against people who wear high heels, then I don't see the issue. But the issue that the people who usually make these types of statements is that in their perfect society, if a person that doesn't believe that a worker should wear high heels, you shouldn't even buy his video game, right? So, like, if they make a video game and I play his video game, I'm somehow committing genocide against people who wear high... Like, that's the mentality that they have, okay? Which is completely wrong. It doesn't create a free and just society. It creates oppression and persecution. And then it's also the thing, it's like, okay, another example. Even if you're not wearing shoes that are high heels, the concept of belonging, right? Why the fuck do you need to belong in my apartment? Like, if you're a stranger, I don't know you. Why should you belong? Like, there are certain places where people don't belong. And that's fine. Like, that's perfectly normal. For example, you don't belong in Capitol Hill during January 6th, right? Like, do we agree with that? So, that is an example where people don't fucking belong. We have laws against trespassing for that. And it's even like, even if you do belong, sometimes there is a certain amount of decorum that you need to present. So, if for example, you want to come into my house as a guest, if I insist you take off your shoes, then you have a choice. Either you take off your shoes or you get the fuck out of my house. You don't have to be a guest. You know, it's your choice. When I come to your house, you make the rules. If I come to your house and you say, okay, these are the slippers you need to wear, I wear the fucking slippers. If I come to your house and you say, you can keep the shoes on, I insist, then I fucking keep the shoes on. Your house, your rules, right? Like, that's what belonging comes into conflict with. Not everyone belongs everywhere, and a society where people belong everywhere would be a very awful place to live in. Because it would mean that anyone can enter your house, anyone can trespass on your property, you have no right to anything. And again, like, such society doesn't even fucking exist, right? Like, no society will allow you to walk into the city hall whenever you want, do whatever you want, you know, walk into the politician's house, walk in Zuckerberg's man. No, like, that doesn't exist, okay? That's fiction. So belonging is a sign of oppression, 100%. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.